Yipee-Ki-Yay, Mr. Falcon.
So, what have you been watching?
Oh boy, what have I been watching?
I don't know. You took ill and you
Yeah,
had a
oh,
movie
man.
day.
Yeah, I got sick. I got real sick. I had strep throat, and I was just down for the count. And I went down like a hole. I was just laid out, and you had made a recommendation for a pretty crazy movie that I hadn't seen before called Jacob's Ladder, starring Tim Robbins.
So, when you were in a half-dazed state of sickness, you decided to watch a deep psychological thriller.
Yeah, man, I felt like
Bizarre imagery.
it
Okay.
would complement my uncomfortable physical state and my feverish mentality. You know, I was running a fever. I was sweaty. I was like, yeah, I'm not uncomfortable enough. Let's up the ante.
Let's not watch a comedy from my youth. Let's watch goddamn Jacob's Ladder for the first time. That's all right. The first time I saw it, I had COVID, so maybe it's a rite of passage. Did you like it?
Well, yeah, I loved it.
Awesome.
I loved it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
It was cool.
Don't ever watch the remake.
They remade that?
I mean, you can't even really call it a remake. It's, in the vaguest sense, it's a remake. It's moved to the war on terror in Afghanistan and updated.
Oh.
Like the subplot of the original with the experimentation on the troops and all that. That's like the main plot of the remake, and there's none of the quote unquote supernatural elements or whatever you want to call it are present at all.
What?
It's just about that stupid military plot and experimenting on the soldiers. That's it. That's what the whole fucking movie's about.
The best parts of that movie is when Tim Robbins is like tripping balls.
Oh, I know. The first time I saw it, when it switched gears and he woke up with the different family, with a family, with a wife and kids, I had no fucking clue what was going on. None. I was absolutely
that was
lost.
Crazy.
And then just it pops back. The ending was outstanding. I loved the ending. And was it Abe Vigoda?
Abe Vigoda.
No, not Abe Vigoda. Who played the chiropractor?
The chiropractor?
Slash
Danny
Angel.
Aiello.
That Danny Aiello. There it is. He was so kindly in this.
Yeah, man.
You know, he was
bathed
so
in light.
beneficent. Yes.
In his white coat.
The quack chiropractor. I love it when he comes and gets him out the creepy hospital. That's my favorite fucking part, dude. That's fantastic.
Comes in hot.
And it's such a relief because that sequence is so goddamn terrifying when they're wheeling him in and there's fucking body parts everywhere. You don't know what the fuck they're gonna do to him.
Oh my God. And then he looks up through that chain link fence in the ceiling, and there's just like a grotesque menagerie of people up there. Oh God.
There's so much
nuts.
of it was just so That's the thing. It was like a deep creep. You know, it wasn't jump scares and stuff. Although the dancing scene with the demon parts and what's her name? Well, that was fucking wild, man. That was definitely just pushing it.
Talk about mixed signals, you know.
And how'd you go ahead?
That scene starts out like fun and flirty, and they're dancing and they're having a good time and they're cutting loose and they're doing, you know, they're just having fun. and then that scene just devolves into a slice of hell. It's just this nightmare scenario.
And that conversation he has with the woman on the stairs is really bizarrely creepy too, leading up to that. It's so you had a fever
when she's reading his palm.
Yeah. You had a fever when you saw this. What'd you think of the ice bath scene?
Oh man, that was a bit much. I was 1 minute removed from having taken my own temperature, and now I was nowhere close to having buried the mercury at 106. I wasn't anything like that, but yeah, I was running a slight fever, and then that happened, and I was like, oh man, what's gonna happen to me?
I got up
that
to
was pretty gnarly.
I got up to 105 once when I was a kid.
Holy Christ, 105.
Yeah. I had bronchitis real bad. Yeah, and I got up to 105. It was bad. I almost went to the hospital. Almost.
You probably should have.
Probably should have. Didn't. Brain damage? Likely.
Did they put you in an ice bath?
Not ice, but definitely very cold showers. Yeah. It was it was arresting. And it was I remember it was the first time I was old enough to have agency. I don't know, maybe 11, 12. And my mom would not give me more than 2 Advil. Like she would not. She was convinced I'd die if she gave me more than 2 Advil.
like that would be worse than the 105-degree fever.
Yeah, bro. And I was so desperate. It had been days. And she left the Advil in the room, and I just took like 6. And my temperature came down by like 4 degrees.
There you go.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, once we get ready to break, I'm like, I'm just going to be stealing Advil now until this works. And that's how I've dealt with fevers ever since.
There you go.
My poor kidneys. Fuck it. So, yeah, man, I love Jacob's Ladder. It falls into, I don't know, a bucket, like you like to say. A bucket.
Buckets. Love
bucket
buckets.
with a label of like undergraded, creepy movies. Stir of Echoes is in there.
Stir of
Jacob's
Echoes.
Ladder. Frailty.
Frailty was pretty creepy. I like that movie.
Yeah, McConaughey and Paxton.
Yes.
And Powers Booth, one of my favorite actors, my low-key favorite actors. The religious overtones in that freak people out sometimes, and the way it ends, I think upsets people.
Yeah, you just hear she just go, praise God.
It's so creepy. I love it. I love it. It's just like people who don't like the end of The Mist.
That's another. I see you were raving about that ending. I have to watch that one still.
Oh fuck! I don't want to talk about it, but it's divisive. It's divisive.
Oh yeah, we covered that.
Yeah, I don't know. Stir of Echoes really comes to the forefront when I think of 90s movies that don't get enough play.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that was, oddly enough, that was another one I hadn't seen, and Jacob's Ladder was over, and, I guess I hadn't felt sufficiently creeped out, so I was like, let's put on another one, and I put on Star of Echoes for the first time.
I don't blame you for missing it, because a lot of people did. It's a shame,
Well,
too.
Yeah, it got overshadowed, and, we had talked about maybe doing something on creepy movies that that were kind of flew under the radar, and I'm watching Stir of Echoes, and I was like, I don't remember. I remember it coming out. I never saw it because it was completely overshadowed by another movie that came out around the same time, literally 1 month before.
1 month before,
and all of a sudden it was like, okay, this is now a versus battle, kind of like we had done with Wyatt Earp and Tombstone.
Yeah.
You explain that phenomenon where 2 movies that are almost identical come out at the same time. And I was like, yeah, Wyatt Earp and Tombstone. And I've been struggling to find another example. And then lo and behold, I'm watching Stir of Echoes, and there it is right in front of my face.
Yeah, this
It's
is one
this.
that like doesn't show up in lists. Like there's you'll find listicles of movies that were really similar that came out the same roughly around the same time. But this is never on it. And yeah, it's August of 1999. The Sixth Sense hit theaters. And then in September, Stir of Echoes hit theaters. And oh boy,
That's about as close as you can get.
yeah, there was no way people were going to see Stir of Echoes. Sixth Sense was just that was a huge hit. It's really hard to explain how big that was in 1999. Like everybody went to see that fucking movie. Like people were respectful of the twist. They tried not to spoil it for each other, which is crazy.
Right.
It was, pre crazy internet, so you could stay relatively ignorant of it and still go
Yep.
see it. And man,
Did you?
Yeah. I think I actually went with my parents, believe it or not. It was awesome. It was awesome. That dude with the hairpiece, that was Bruce Willis the whole time.
What a twist!
The Shyamalan twist.
The Shyamalan twist,
And
Yeah, they
especially
used-
around here because it was filmed in Philadelphia, so it got a lot of coverage on the local news when it was coming out and then when it was
Yeah.
a big hit. So
He
it
does a
was-
lot of stuff in Philly.
Yeah, he's one of those few directors who's filmed a lot here. It was neat. It gave the movie a unique look, But I mean, I assume that's one of those movies everyone's kind of seen, because it's almost mild enough for the youngest of audiences that would be interested in it. As far as gore and blood wise, I don't think there's even any foul language in that movie. I mean, it's definitely creepy and certainly scary, but does it hold up? When's the last time you saw that?
The Sixth Sense. I watched it right after I was done Stir of Echoes.
Did you? Did you? Yeah.
Well, because I'm watching Stir of Echoes and I'm just drawing all these parallels, and I'm like, well, I thought to myself, let's see how close it is, how it stacks up, and like I said earlier, I was laid up, so what the heck else was I gonna do? I just put on the Sixth Sense.
Okay.
And yeah, that movie holds up. It really does. And oddly enough, that was the second time I've watched it. I'd never
Ever?
seen it.
Really?
I
Wow.
saw it in the original run, was blown away by the twist, and thought to myself, yeah, this would be cool to rewatch knowing how the movie ends, and you watch it with fresh eyes. And
And you
I
never
had that
did?
thought. I never did until the other day.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen it a few times. Well, once or a few times. Once-
I bet you have. How many times did you buy that movie?
No, I think I only bought it once. I submit that movie wouldn't work nearly as well if they hadn't found Haley Joel Osment
Yeah.
when they did. He was really fucking something in that movie
Yeah,
for his
he was
age.
awesome.
It's very, very rare to find a kid that young who can do that kind of shit and have that kind of range and believability. That was an intense performance for a little kid.
It really was. It was.
Bruce Willis is
felt like
kind
an
of dour.
adult.
You know?
Well, I think
That's
I
fine.
mean, yeah, I think it worked. I think Dower worked
Mm-hmm.
for what they were going for.
Toni Collette was great in that too. She was
Oh yeah, she
really
was
young.
She was awesome.
Yeah, she was good. I never realized that was her until years later.
I liked how
like
she
her.
didn't saw her own head off and fly headless through the night.
Yeah, that's nice. That's
Yeah,
nice
that
not
was-
to
it
do
was a
every
nice
once in a
change.
while. All right, so structure-wise, both movies have kids who have some just a connection to the
I mean,
other
let's
side.
Let's come right out and say it. They see dead people.
Yeah. I guess the kid in Stir of Echoes. I guess it's as simple as that, right?
Yeah, they literally both see dead people.
Yeah. both about the same age. I guess Stir of Echoes kid might be a little younger.
He's a lot younger.
Yeah, he's much less a part of the story in that film. The interesting thing about Stir of Echoes is that it's written by it was written by Richard Matheson. It was based on a novel he wrote, actually. And funny, if you look at it, there's some similarities to The Shining in that story. Like a few. You know, the father slowly becoming unhinged, being
the cop,
obsessive, the cop who kind of knows about, I mean, you'd call it, you change it and call it The Shining. You know, it's very similar. The little kid who's the most powerful, touched of all of them.
Medium.
The wife trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. I mean, it's much more similar to the King book than the Kubrick movie.
I mean, it's pretty up there with the Kubrick
much better movie with a much better ending for everyone. But Richard Matheson wrote that book a long time before King wrote The Shining.
Really?
So, yeah. I mean, he's been writing novels and TV and screenplays for movies and for television since the mid-50s. In 57, he wrote a novel and screenplay called The Incredible Shrinking Man. And it was one of the...
I know that.
You know that one?
Yeah.
It was one of those great 50s sci-fi flicks with a wild premise. And it's really cool. It's this guy's on a boat, like just in it, like a houseboat with his wife, just cruising along. And his wife goes below deck, and he's out on deck. And they go through this like weird fog patch. And it's all glittery. And it like gets on his skin and shit, and he's glittery and he can't get it off. I mean, it's black and white, so you know, it might have had a color. I don't know. And he starts shrinking, like just bit by bit.
Heck?
Yeah, they get back home and they're living their lives, and he's getting smaller, like little by little, but it's getting faster too. And eventually doctors come in and people don't know what the fuck is going on, and they don't know what's wrong with him. And eventually he's living in a dollhouse in the house, and the cat attacks the dollhouse, and he's forced to it turns into this crazy survival movie where it's this tiny dude in a house being attacked by rodents,
by
the cat. A spider. He has to fight this nasty fucking spider, and he fashions tools out of a sewing needle, and it's fucking wild how deep it gets, man. And he pierces the spider through the chest as it falls on him to eat him. It's pretty badass. And then it ends with him shrinking so small he winks out of existence.
That sounds awesome.
It's fucking awesome. My dad remembered it from his youth and taped it for me one time, like so many things. And I used to watch it quite a bit when I was younger. It's short too. It's really short. But if you ever come across in 1957, The Incredible Shrinking Man. But if you go through his filmography, it's pretty wild. He wrote for a lot of westerns through the 50s and early 60s. On TV, and then he did the screenplays for a few adaptations of Poe stories for TV, Pit and the Pendulum, House of Usher, and then he moved on to horror stuff and started writing for shit like Tales of Terror and The Twilight Zone.
Oh yeah,
Hitchcock, the Alfred Hitchcock Hour. He wrote a couple episodes for that. He wrote an episode of the original Star Trek in the 60s.
Nice.
And
this guy's all over the place.
Dude, and he gets crazier because so he also wrote I Am Legend, the novel I Am Legend, which first became The Omega Man in 1971 with Charlton Heston.
Wait, that was him?
Yeah. And then obviously the Will Smith adaptation with the novel's title I Am Legend and the aughts. That's a great book too. I've read that. I've actually read that. It's fantastic.
So this guy's got a hell of a pedigree.
Yeah, yeah. And he wrote some weird shit too. He wrote Jaws 3D, the screenplay for Jaws
He wrote
3D.
Jaws 3D.
Yeah, yeah. Like what the fuck? Out of nowhere, man.
That
He
movie's
wrote.
terrible.
Yeah, it's really bad. And he wrote. You remember the Twilight Zone movie when we were kids from the '80s with Dan
The one
Aykroyd?
with John Lithgow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He wrote one of the segments, the last segment, the scariest segment about the kid who anything he wishes comes true.
Oh, yeah. It's been
Yeah,
a
that's
while
him.
since I've
He
seen
did that to us. He did that to us. He wrote, the Robin Williams movie, What Dreams May Come. He wrote
That's the
that.
one where he's dead, right?
Yeah, yeah. Through the Afterlife, he wrote that novel that was based
Damn.
on.
This guy's resume is stacked.
Yeah, yeah. He even wrote an episode. Well, he's got a Family Guy credit. It says based on a short story by him, one episode. So I don't know if it's one of the weird, like, flashback things that they do or not. But yeah, he's got a really cool bibliography too, just novel wise. It's neat. I had no idea. So
I'll
yeah,
have
he
to
wrote
dig
this
into that.
before. King most certainly read it. He most certainly read probably everything he wrote. So yeah, maybe we have bits and pieces of The Shining we can thank Richard Matheson for. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I had that thought during a couple of those scenes that like this is a lot like the Shining, while watching Stir of Echoes, especially when the kid shows up at the funeral. Yeah,
neat.
it's crazy.
And they also have in common the idea of ghosts giving the living who they can communicate with missions, like asking them to do things.
Find out who killed me.
Yeah, for instance, find out who killed me. They go about it in slightly different ways. The Sixth Sense is more, of course, paced very, very differently.
Yeah, that's a slow burn.
Yeah, it's a uniquely structured movie. It's very front heavy.
I know. I like how it works too because you had made the point earlier that movie seems like it's good for all audiences because your touchstone for that movie is the kid. As a person you can relate to someone who's going through a difficult time, but as a kid, as a younger person, you can relate to just someone your own age who's going through something that they think no one else will understand. And it just winds up striking a totally different chord. Whereas in the other one, like your main driving force for that movie is Kevin Bacon becoming unhinged.
Yeah, the paterfamilias. But unlike Jack Torrance, his unhinging isn't really directed toward his family, which is nice.
No.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Close Encounters. Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters, and the way he just becomes obsessive and because I guess he destroys his house too in that. In his quest, he breaks the window and starts like rolling dirt and boulders into the fucking house.
Yeah, because he's building like Devil's Tower or something.
Yeah, he's trying to build Devil's Tower because he keeps seeing it in his head. That's what this always reminded me of is he digs up the yard and then starts ripping up the floors and shit. No, and you know what I read too? The hypnotism scene in Stir of Echoes, which tracks because if this was written in the 50s, that's when hypnotism was like a thing. It was still Kreskin was still on TV and whatnot. It was very much in pop culture. That sequence actually has hypnotized people who are extremely susceptible to it. I don't know if we can believe it. The IMDb trivia can sometimes be
so
wonky,
people watch that movie, and upon watching it, that actually works, and they go to sleep.
It says the hypnosis sequence in which Tom is hypnotized for the first time follows actual hypnosis techniques used by professional hypnotists. In order to ensure that the audience hasn't been put to sleep, and some susceptible people have been, There's a musical accent at the close of the sequence to wake everyone up. I don't know, it could be bullshit, but that's fun to think about.
Huh. Yeah, it's nuts.
It always did seem kind of realistic compared to any other hypnotist bullshit that you see in movies, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, well, because most of the time you see people trying to do it, and they're just saying like, "Oh, you're going deeper. You're deeply relaxed.
Like
and you're
Office
feeling
Space.
you're feeling more relaxed. And your
Deeper
arms
and
feel
deeper.
relaxed." And it's just telling me I feel relaxed does not relax me. But that sequence, it's giving them a set of directions, and it's giving you like a scenario to try to imagine, which I feel like occupies your mind, as opposed to just like all the other one. It just sounds like someone going, "Relax, relax, relax."
Fucking relax already, goddammit. Go to sleep.
You ever been hypnotized?
Fuck no.
I wound up on a stage one time in
Oh,
college
no. Oh,
with a
God.
bunch of people, and they're trying to hypnotize and like. Can I if I'm being totally honest, I don't think I was hypnotized at all, but like I did some of the more mild things because like I didn't want to be the one guy that just sat there and did nothing. I felt pressured. And then like I
See?
think the guy
That's how
running
it works.
the guy running it like caught on, and like he said, if I come touch you on the shoulder, you're done. And then like he immediately came over and tapped me on the shoulder and got me off the stage. But like, yeah, it just I don't know. People were doing some wild shit. I'm just like, up there just trying not to, get laughed at. But
Should've
yeah, I
just-
don't know. I felt
should've-
pressured. I should have held my ground.
Pissed all over your pants and started writhing on the ground. Fucking freaking the fuck out. Just go for broke. That would have been great. Especially
Maybe I
college. Fuck, man. Were you
Could have
sober?
got the semester off.
Were you sober? Was this a sober activity? In college?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was one of those lamos.
Fucking hypnotist. I went to your college to see dude Dane Cook before anyone knew who he was. Back when people didn't know he stole his shit, and he was still pretty funny.
Pounding the pavement on MySpace.
Yeah, hell yeah. Before he tried to be an actor. Dane fucking Cook, man.
Oh,
You never saw that movie, Mr. Brooks, did you? With
No.
Kevin Costner.
No, you told me about it.
Yeah.
That was on the serial killer list. Dude, I have piles of stuff that you told me to
I know.
watch.
I know.
I'm
I can't
slowly
keep track of what you've done. You've been sick.
wending my way through it.
That was okay. It would have been better if someone other than Dane Cook was in that part. I think that stupid movie he made with Jessica Simpson was about the extent of his range. He really shouldn't have reached beyond that. But luckily, we don't have to look at him anymore. His face is weird now.
Yeah.
Not to
Yeah.
body shame or anything, but he did weird things to his face. It is stretched, oddly not cool. All right, Stir of Echoes.
Stir of Echoes.
What, was there anything that was genuinely creepy about this to you? Or was it just kind of interesting, more like a mystery?
I thought nothing creepy about it. Nothing creepy about it. At least to my eye. I mean, to be fair, I had just finished watching Jacob's Ladder, which was creepy as hell.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I
true.
might have been primed. No, but it was cool. I liked it. It was interesting. Pretty early on, it just becomes, who is this ghost that he's seeing, and who killed her? You find out that it's like it turns into a murder mystery, and you just want to see that conclusion. It was an interesting story, but definitely didn't feel like a horror movie.
The part where they actually show the murder was pretty well done. I could see that being creepy to some folk. The idea of being infected like this with something was kind of creepy to me the first time I saw this. The way
like you can't shut it off.
Yeah, like he stops going to work, and you see it from. They did a good job of letting you see the whole thing from a few different viewpoints, and no one really seems like the bad guy. The wife is genuinely concerned. She's not a stereotype, of women and wives you usually see in these kind of movies. She's really seems like a real person, even though you don't get too much of her backstory. She's really fleshed out, which is nice to see. What?
I think the one thing that was a bit unrealistic to me was just how understanding she was. Can I just tell you? And you know my wife. If she walked in and found the whole house full of dirt and found out that like the whole backyard was dug up, and then I'd filled the entire fridge with orange juice, like if that ever happens, like I will come and haunt you from beyond the grave and tell you exactly which of the holes that I just dug that she buried me in that day.
Yes, she would kill you, is what you're saying.
That's how that would go down. I would probably be dumped in one of my freshly dug holes, and you'd never see me again until I started, haunting your dreams.
That's anecdotal evidence, My wife might actually help me and think it's just whimsical and interesting.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That would
she
be,
just that.
Yeah.
She walks in. She's like, "There's something I'm not going to clean up."
But it's also you also have a
what?
You also well that was before he dug up the floor. That was just like kitchen detritus. Detritus,
yeah,
man.
He hadn't hacked up the floorboards yet.
Fucking wives, shovels. I love when he goes to the fucking Home Depot and he's all fucking torn up and dirty and shit, and he decides I'm gonna rent a fucking jackhammer, man. I'm tired of trying to hit cement with a pick. Fucking lunatic.
Yeah, and I could see that, when he's like, I gotta make some more headway on this concrete floor. Sure. The thing that kind of took me out of it was when he gets going with the jackhammer, and he just, I don't know if it was like an acting choice on Kevin Bacon's part or if it's in the script, but he just starts going, woo, just like whooping and hollering. It's just
hey man,
at the top of his lungs.
I've never run a jackhammer. I imagine it's quite thrilling. I don't know.
That was a little goofy.
What he really could have used was a little night country action. Like, he's in the basement. He's about to dig up the whole fucking floor and foundation and shit. The ghost couldn't have been like, hey, yo, and like point at the fucking wall where she's buried. And be like, yo.
Yeah.
Like, just a point. Just like a night country kind of. You shouldn't have to do a dance or nothing. Just a point.
And you know that she goes down there. You watch that one scene. I'll tell you, that was pretty creepy. When the wife is trying to take a bath. And
the water heater's out.
She goes down to relight the boiler because she thinks that the pilot's out, but it's not. And the girl is following her around, like just the dead girl, and she can't see her at all. And she's just sort of like right behind her, just out of frame in a couple of different scenes.
I think I lost you.
Oh, you hear me now?
Okay. Hi.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, that's about as close as it came to like jump scary territory. I think was that scene,
yeah.
But that was good. That was creepy. I like.
And I don't think it was meant to be a cheap scare either. It was genuinely suspenseful.
I like the bullet thing. How the kid didn't want to go home, and he's talking about the feathers. And then the bullet, that errant bullet goes through his bed and through his pillow, and the feathers fall down. That was pretty neat how they did it. It was subtle. They didn't make it like a huge deal, and that was kind of neat. And the actual mystery too, although while it wasn't very complex, was it's one of those movies where I watch it and then like 2 years later, I haven't seen it in a while. I go back and I forget like everything that happens in the final act. Like the details of it,
right.
The two twists and like which father was the shit one, and I don't know. It's cool. It's rewatchable. I think a little bit more than The Sixth Sense for me, anyway.
Oh man, so yeah. I mean that I agree. Yeah, because once you see that movie, the first time, they both display bits of prescience. Like the kids, like because of the feathers, and then it's revealed that like he had like a vision of what could have happened, and then the same
Yeah,
thing
see, that's a
happens
little
with Kevin
different.
Bacon.
Like
When
that's
Kevin
a little
Bacon
different, isn't it?
is having
Like,
that dream.
yeah. And in
You
Stir of
remember?
Echoes, like the powers that the kid has are a little different in that way from the Sixth Sense, because Haley Joel wasn't. He didn't see the future at
He
all.
could
There
see
was no
dead people.
precognition. Yeah, yeah. Whereas like this is more like in The Shining, he can see dead people, and he apparently has precognition too, a little bit.
And apparently
So
he can communicate telepathically
when did he do that?
with the
I
cop.
forget. Oh, right, right.
He
Yeah,
goes,
yeah,
"Oh,
yeah,
hi,
yeah.
Neil." He just knows the cop's first name,
Right.
and then
Yeah,
the
it's a
cop
lot
knows
like
his
The
name.
Shining. It's a
And
lot like The Shining.
they found an actor that looks a hell of a lot like what's that guy's name? Scatman Carruthers.
That's racist. He does not.
Sure, he does. Come on.
And you got to admit, there's some like Poe-esque stuff with the way she's bricked up in the wall in the basement.
Oh,
Yeah,
what's
it's
that?
pretty
Like
classic.
the cask of Amontillado?
Yeah, he was obsessed with people being buried alive. He did that in a few of them. That was pretty gnarly too. Like the actual body itself, it looked pretty good movie
Oh
wise.
yeah, all like desiccated.
And I liked, and this is going to sound weird, but I liked that the football player's son, that he shot himself in the chest instead of like shooting himself in the head. That was different. And people
Yeah.
do that. People do that sometimes,
Yeah,
It was darker
I
in a lot of ways than The Sixth Sense. Like you were saying, like The Sixth Sense is, I wouldn't say family friendly, but definitely younger, and a younger audience can watch it than Stir of Echoes, I think. I don't know. I'm not a parent.
it's more
I don't know.
palatable.
Yeah, it's not as
No, I get it. It's more
harsh.
palatable.
Yeah, like the big mystery is mother killing their kids by Munchausen by proxy, right?
Ugh,
So
yeah, oof.
while it's very dark and was very in vogue at the time, so the philosopher Slim Shady wrote many poems about it. It was, I don't know. It's not as dark as like three football player dudes like trying to rape a chick and murdering her by accident.
Yeah, and there's definitely not a giant, brawl with guns and knives at the end. That fight's pretty crazy. Like the one guy gets stabbed in the foot, people get shot. It's like a bloodbath at the end.
Yeah, that dude from Veep turns out to not be an asshole. The guy who was the psychic in the beginning of Ghostbusters 2. I always forget he's been in movies
Oh,
forever.
that's right.
The world will end.
No, yeah, Kevin Bacon does kind of the same thing as the kid when he has that dream, and then the guy, his neighbor, comes down out of the next room and says, he goes, they're gonna kill you both, Tom. They're gonna try to kill you both. And it's like, what is he talking about? And then that exact thing happens when like after he shoots him, he goes, they were gonna kill you both.
Yeah, it's everything falls into place very neatly. It's not super complex, but it's satisfying in the end. And The Sixth Sense was very satisfying too. It was really interesting. But yeah, I think that's one of those movies that you definitely need to watch twice. Like you said, it's great to see it the first time and experience the twist and everything, but then you got to see it again too, knowing what's really happening.
Yeah.
And see where they fucked up and if they did, or keep your eye out for stuff.
I'll say this, man. Those movies both have twist endings. But, The Sixth Sense, that was, at the time, that was like the mother of all twists.
Yeah, it's hard to
Man,
follow that up.
I did not see it. When it came, it's the Stir of Echoes was one of those movies where like I'm watching it, and like about 5 minutes before the twist happens, I'm like, I think I know what's happening, and like you suss it out. The Sixth Sense, when you get hit with that final twist involving Bruce Willis, like my jaw hit the floor. I was like blown away.
It's one of those twists that when you see it the first time, you're almost a little angry because you're like, "There's no way. There's no way." Like I saw stuff in this movie that doesn't line up with that, and then that's why you have to go see it again.
Yep. And then you realize, no, you didn't.
Yeah, they did pretty good. They did pretty good. And the only thing that kind of confused me was how Bruce Willis is able to change clothes as a ghost. That never really worked for me. But
Does he?
yeah, I mean, at least once when he's in his basement office, he's wearing his like college sweatshirt. I mean, I know other parts he's just variously taking off articles of what he was wearing the night he died, but I mean, he died
Like
in his
jacket.
He died in his shirt, like his button-down shirt, you know. But you know, he obviously has a suit, and I think an overcoat even. So I don't know how that works in Ghost World, but
it really doesn't stretch the imagination for me anyway to think that a ghost can't change the way they look. In fact, I think it would probably be easy. You know, you're a ghost. It's like you're not. There's no rule that you're locked into your ghost clothes forever and always.
Ghost clothes. It wasn't the Frighteners. That was a rule in the Frighteners.
Was it?
Yeah, because remember
that movie's cool.
The guy who died in the 70s was dressed like Shaft, or he was in he couldn't take that off. That is a great movie. That is a great fucking movie. That's a super underrated movie from Michael J. Fox, and I think Zemeckis did that, didn't he?
No.
Who did that?
Peter Jackson.
Was it Peter Jackson? Okay.
It's before he did Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. That was another one I remember watching on a lark. Had never heard anything about it, and I really kind of loved it, you know. And I had no,
that was great.
I didn't know who Charles Starkweather was before I saw that, and then how many fucking movies have been based on that weird fucker? You find out later. I mean, this is not based on him, but he was actually. They talk about the real guy, Jake Busey, the lesser Busey, is in that. The Buse is loose, baby.
You know who else is in that? Oh, the guy, the creepy guy. He's in all those Lovecraft movies. Toombs, Jeffrey Toombs.
Yeah, and he was on Star Trek a lot. Yeah, he's awesome. He was in
every
Reanimator.
line he delivers has this weird quaver to it.
He turns it up to like 11.
Violating my territorial bubble.
He turns that shit up to 11 in the Frighteners, man. He's a fucking whack. He's like almost Jim Carrey-esque in that. It's fantastic.
Yeah, he's insane.
And that was I don't think I had seen him in anything else before I saw the Frighteners. And then, of course, I saw Reanimator, and he's in that other one, too, From Beyond. I love that one. With the fucking eye stalk grows out of their forehead and shit. That's
one of the
a wild one, man.
Things I've ever seen.
I love that one. That's fantastic. And those weird other dimensional fish things eat that dude down to the bone.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's so gross.
It's awesome. No, that's a good one. I watched that like around Halloween. I like that one.
That one, I watched it by myself, not knowing anything about it. And by the end, I was just like cringing when he's like sucking people's brains out through their eye socket in the hospital.
With that probe. Yeah, dude. But that makes sense that's Peter Jackson, because I remember the CG in the Frighteners for when it was made is pretty fucking good.
It looked great.
Yeah, even the entirely CG Grim Reaper looked pretty good. The way it moved, and it mostly just looked like a huge rotting cape. It was pretty neat, man. It was a good movie all the way around. Good mystery. That had a bit of a twist at the end.
What a twist.
What a twist. Michael J. Fox. It was one of the last movies he made. Last feature films. And he did Spin City after that, I think. I don't think he did too much after that before he quit. Fucking brutal, man. He was awesome.
Yeah. Yes, he was. It's a rough deal he got.
Yeah, yeah. So we talked about Bruce Willis being, kind of subdued and how that kind of that really worked. And at the time, that was very different from what you'd seen from him, even in dramas that he had done, you
Yeah.
know. And so, how'd you feel about Kevin Bacon, though? As I remember you texted me when you were watching this, and you were like, you weren't too sure about old Kev in this.
No, and I won't say that Kevin Bacon was bad, but he's my least favorite part of that movie.
Do you generally like him in stuff, or is it hit or miss?
I don't mind Kevin Bacon. I think he's got a pocket that if he stays in, he can be really good. But he's just I don't know, man. That role and like what he's going through it's scary. I could totally see somebody just coming apart at the seams dealing with what he's dealing with. But I don't know, man. It was just like parts of it were just goofy, like the jackhammer thing when he just goes yee-haw, just whooping and hollering in the basement, and then just I don't know. It just felt like a little over the top, and not as serious as I thought it should be for someone going through that crazy life altering event. I don't know. And
Fair
again,
enough.
and like you said, I know you said you liked him. He seems like a regular guy who's just trying to figure out something fucking crazy that's happening to him.
Yeah, yeah. I always liked how he didn't seem outwardly like shaken up, but he seemed more anxious. Like there's a tenseness to his demeanor the more unhinged shit gets. Like he keeps his shit together pretty good considering what he goes through. There's a certainty in what he's doing. Like he's not, I don't get the feeling he's scared very much once he gets past a certain point. Like once he gets the mission, like to start digging, once he has that purpose and that obsession, I think it stops being so desperate for him. He's kind of on a course and he just accepts it. Like this is my crazy shit now, and I don't know why, but I have to fucking do this, and that's what I'm going to do. I guess he stops thinking about the why of what's happening to him. Like, because there's that point where he's panicking and he calls the friend who hypnotized him in the first place, and then he goes to her place and she tries to do it again and to undo it, and it makes it worse.
Right.
And after that, that's when he gets the message on the movie screen during the second one. And after that, it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, he's committed. After that, fuck it, he doesn't even go to the wife's grandmother's funeral.
Yeah. No, I mean I get it. That's kind of where, and again, I'm not. I don't think it was bad by any stretch. It was
I don't. Yeah.
It was most believable, like in the beginning when he's first seeing it, and it was a weird choice, but I understood what was happening immediately when the babysitter shows up, and then the screen just goes like, and flashes.
Oh
red.
yeah, the red. Yeah. It was.
It's
neat.
just his internal alarm bells are just going off, and they got that walk to the ballpark, and he's got this bad feeling. He's rubbing his eyes. He's got a headache.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when he realizes that she's taking the kid, he freaks and he just books it back to the house. That was pretty believable. That's what I'd be doing. I'd be like, oh shit, I gotta go now. But yeah, it's just the more he accepted that he had this crazy mission to accomplish, I don't know. Like it's just that's where it lost me a little bit, but. Still, like to stack it up against The Sixth Sense, yeah, you're talking about two totally opposite ends of the spectrum. There's Bruce Willis, who's like as subdued as you can possibly get, and then there's Kevin Bacon, who's like just screaming in his backyard as he's trying to hack his whole house to pieces.
Well, if you twist aside, first time in, Bruce Willis is the protagonist. He's on sort of a redemption mission through the whole thing. his path is always kind of clear, even though, twists and turns getting there. He's he's pretty determined in what he's trying to do from the outset. And it's less of a, you don't know that it's a mystery. The Sixth Sense. You don't know that something is going to be uncovered beyond the main plot the first time you see it. So it plays less like a mystery, which is why that's another one that there's so much shit happens in the final act.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to absorb. But no, they're both it's a shame that one had to overshadow the other one. If they had come out further apart, they both might have gotten a lot of play. Obviously, The Sixth Sense would have still been The Sixth Sense, but Stir of Echoes might have done a little better. But
yeah, I mean, I could. It's unfortunate that it came out so close. It really is. And it's funny. For as good as The Sixth Sense was, that movie's wonderful. I love it. And the twist is great. However, that twist became like this joke that it was just a running gag every time an M. Night Shyamalan movie came out. You're watching it like, okay, where's the twist? I'm ready for the twist.
That poor fucking guy blew his wad with that movie so hard.
Yeah, talk about I mean, and he's made some other good movies. Unbreakable. That is a great movie.
Unbreakable is a great movie. I'd like Signs. I know a lot of people don't. I'm fine with that. I've seen it more than once.
I'm ambivalent about Signs, but again, that had the twist at the end where like everything is right where it should be for them to survive that situation. The twist at the end is Unbreakable was fucking great.
Yeah, I like to watch The Village as a comedy. That's fun.
I've never seen The Village, but I'm aware of
that
what
is
that
hilarious.
twist is.
That movie is fucking hilarious, dude. Watch that as a comedy. I actually liked Devil, the elevator movie.
I forgot that was him.
That was pretty good. I was really pleasantly surprised by that. And again, that had a twist.
That was another
solid one.
Sick Day movie. I told you about that. Yeah, I told you about this. I watched 3 movies in a row, and they all had fucking Bokeem Woodbine in them.
Oh, right.
That was one of them.
The Woodbine. Yeah. Do you remember that on the radio when we were kids? There was a place. There was a place around here called the Woodbine. It was some kind of a music club for old farts.
No.
And my dad would always have WOGL on in the car, the oldie station. And there would always be these ads for whatever old band playing at the Woodbine. The Woodbine this Sunday at the Woodbine.
The Woodbine. What was the twist in Devil? That it was like the devil was the old lady the whole time?
Yeah, pretty much. Because the old lady dies, or you think she dies, and there's only so many people left. So, I mean, of course, you're like, well, it has to be one of them. And then the old lady's corpse just gets the fuck up with black eyes. You're like, ah! And she was totally fucking creepy, too. She was the mom from one of those shows. I don't remember which one. Not Raymond. One of them. I don't know. One of those sitcoms.
Okay. It's been a while. I watched that on a lark.
Joaquin.
Yeah, so what other... You've got Split.
The Unbreakable series, if you will.
I liked Split.
Split was good. Professor X did a good job.
James McAvoy, when he's in his like young adult persona and he's dancing to that
Kanye
Skrillex like dubstep song or whatever.
Kanye's his boy, remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, by the next one he's away.
So mad.
So mad at you. that just like that whole performance screams to me of a theater kid just finally getting to do all the theater shit that he always wanted to do.
All the things.
Every little trick that all those bullshit exercises they make you do in theater just finally come in handy.
That didn't have a twist per se, except for the fact that you found out that it was an Unbreakable sequel.
Yeah, I guess you could consider that the twist, but I mean, it's kind of a twist that he actually sort of transforms into the beast at the end. That it's not
Yeah.
all. Well, I mean, they don't know. Like, is it all in his head? Is his mind just powerful enough to manifest it in his body, or whatever it is? It's a real physical thing.
Right.
You know, right in the next one, they're like, isn't the woman in the woman from Anya Taylor-Joy in the next movie? Isn't she in therapy talking about how the bullets must have been, the powder must have been old, so the bullets were underpowered, like logically
Yeah.
going through all the shit.
I didn't see Glass.
You didn't see Glass? How
I
did you
didn't
not
see
see Glass? Glass was so. It was all right. It was okay. It was pretty.
I heard
good.
it was bad.
Fucking, I don't know what people want, man.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I liked it. It was neat seeing a ending on that story instead of just a
Yeah.
tenuous connection. It was neat.
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, man. I know.
Did you see what was it called? The Visit.
The Visit. Well, I don't know. Maybe. Is that his?
M. Night Shyamalan.
All right.
Catherine Hahn plays like a single mother who's got 2 kids, and she's sending the kids to visit their grandparents.
No, I don't think I've seen this.
Oh, man.
I saw that stupid one about the beach that makes people old, but I didn't.
Oh, that was called Old. I didn't see it.
Is
The
it? I
Visit.
don't think it was
Yeah,
terrible.
The visit was pretty crazy. They go to visit their grandparents, and just like as the visit progresses, you find out their grandparents are nuts, and then they say like, okay, when we're gonna put you in your room, do not come out of your room at night. Whatever you do, don't come out. No matter what you hear, no matter what you see, stay in your room at night. And they said like the grandmother suffers from like some sort of like night dementia or something, like some kind of
Night
fever.
dementia.
I don't know.
All right.
I forget the name.
Night fever.
Night fever. Yeah, not that kind of night fever.
Oh, okay.
And you get to see these scenes where she's just like crawling around the house and she's banging on the walls, and it's genuinely creepy. And then there's what a twist. There's a twist, and it's the simplest thing in the world. And I was in the theater, it happened, and I was furious with myself that I didn't put it together before it happened. Oh man. I'd ruin it for you, but I don't know if you want to watch this one. Like
I might.
without having it spoiled.
I didn't realize there was a Shyamalan that I haven't seen. So
It had been a while since he'd made a movie, and it was marketed as just like a straight horror movie, and people were like, I saw that in the theater.
Was it in Philly? Was it shot in Philly or no?
I don't think it was shot in Philly. I mean, it might have been, but it doesn't. It just takes place in like the suburbs.
Was this in the aftermath of his? What was it? The Lady in the Lake.
I think the lady in the water.
That was so bad.
I didn't see that. I think that came first.
Paul Giamatti was so bad, so bad. Okay, Visit. I'm on a mission now. You gave me a mission. You gave me a mission. That's awesome.
I won't spoil it. And like what? Yeah, when the twist comes, just remember, simple.
Well, the warning I gave you about the Jacob's Ladder remake, I have to give you one for the Stir of Echoes sequel.
There's another one?
Steer clear. It's super bad. I never saw it, but in rewatching Stir of Echoes for this episode, I tried to get into it. I watched about 40 minutes, and I was done. It's called Stir of Echoes: The Homecoming, starring Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe. Oh man.
It's from 2007, and it's not good. First of all, Rob Lowe plays a Iraq war vet, because I guess guys in their fucking late 40s were going to fight in Iraq at the time. But it's just weird. It's one you get the feeling that it was a script that they just hammered into being a Stir of Echoes sequel. So yeah, avoid that shit. Another one I want to just bring up real quick, under the radar horror movie that I bring it up because it's a genre movie that's going to be getting a couple new installments soon, the werewolf genre. I sent you that photo from, what is it? I think it's just werewolves. It's just a movie called Werewolves that's coming out.
Frank Grillo.
Yeah. It's being billed as like a gore fest kind of movie. It's coming out this year, which is nice.
I'm into it.
Yeah, they released a photo of one of the werewolves from the flick, and it looks pretty gnarly. So I don't know. I'll check it out. It says two scientists try to stop a mutation that turns people into werewolves after being touched by a supermoon the year before.
Supermoon.
Yee. I don't know about that, sir. There's one of the worst movies ever made, especially in the werewolf genre, was called Project Metal Beast. This was one of those took a gamble and rented it, and it came out real
awesome.
Is so bad, bro. Oh my god, let me bring this shit up.
Metal Beast.
Project fucking Metal Beast. Project Metal Beast. Oh, it's one word. Excuse me, Metal Beast. 1995. Are you ready for this? In 1974, an unhinged CIA agent injects himself with the werewolf blood he found. Period. Just
he
found. After a killing spree.
Walking along. What the fuck is this?
Werewolf blood. His body is put in suspended animation, then thawed out 20 years later by his crazy boss and a team of unsuspecting doctors. It's so bad, bro.
Download this movie. I need to see it.
I may have already, but I'll make sure.
Oh, man.
Barry Bostwick is in it. That's.
I've seen that.
And
I've
Kim
seen
Delaney.
the end of that.
You've seen the end of this?
Yeah, I've seen, because I remember watching Barry Bostwick has just stood there with a gun for like the back half of the movie. He's just like, and he says everything. So, matter of fact, yeah, I guess I'll just have to shoot you.
And interestingly, the titular metal beast is played by Kane Hodder. Hodder.
Kane Hodder. Who's that?
He played Jason in several of the Friday the 13th movies. Mostly the ones in the 90s.
This movie. I'm watching it again.
It was a bad one, but the good one I wanted to talk about. And also the Wolfman remake is coming out, but that was supposed to come out for Halloween this year, and it got bumped to January of 25 at this point.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah. Well, here's one. It's from 2014. Nobody saw it. It was one I found it on a streaming service, I think Amazon, once, and took a chance. I do that a lot with horror movies. Like, there's this meme that goes around that horror movie fans have to like sift through 10,000 shit movies to get one that's cool, and we're okay with it. That's right. The game. So there's a lot of movies I'll start and watch for 20 minutes and then done. Like, they're in my continue to thing and they just stay there. This was not one. It's called sometimes you'll see it called Late Phases, and sometimes you'll see it called Night of the Wolf. The cast isn't... Ethan Embry's in it, so, I mean, there's a name.
Ethan Embry.
Yeah, from Empire Records and That Thing You Do.
Okay, yep, got it.
Yeah. Nick D'Amici, I don't know if you probably know his face if you've seen it. He's been in stuff for years. And Tom Noonan is in it.
Oh, the Tooth Fairy?
Yeah.
Frankenstein?
Yeah, Frankenstein from Monster Squad is in it. He plays a priest, which is neat. It's a different. I mean, it's not. The werewolf part of it isn't wildly different. it's one of those werewolf movies where you don't know who the werewolf is.
Okay.
So it functions as a mystery, but the structure and the setup is interesting because the protagonist is a Vietnam vet who's blind. And his son, Ethan Embry, moves him into a retirement community. So it's not like an old folks home, but it's like separate condo style, like not like townhouse style homes, like a retirement village, and but it's gated off, and there's like something creepy about it. It's weird. There's a weirdness to it, and his first night there, a werewolf attacks his neighbor and kills her, and then breaks into his place. And his dog fights it and manages to keep it from killing the guy. His name is Ambrose. But the dog gets hurt so bad that it dies.
Ooh, that's not good.
So warning for people who don't. This is why I haven't watched this movie with my wife. So warning for people who don't, can't handle that in a movie. But he goes
stuff.
he goes a little nuts after that. But it's neat in that he mounts a defense. Like he figures out what it was and plans to prepare for a month until the next full moon, and in that time see if he can figure out who the werewolf is, and if not, he's going to be ready for it to come back.
All right.
He's got
That
guns.
sounds cool.
He's got guns. He starts training with an entrenching tool as kind of like an axe.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Gets in shape, starts doing push-ups and shit. And just the fact that he's blind and he doesn't have any superhuman powers or anything, but he's clever, And the werewolves in it are weird looking. Like they're not. I don't even know if you would call them werewolves. They look a little. You know what they kind of look like? They kind of look like the creature on the wing in the Twilight Zone movie.
Oh,
But
okay.
hairier with ears. They're not scary per se, but they're pretty cool looking for werewolves. And the ending is wild. The ending is absolutely wild and awesome. Just completely awesome fucking movie from beginning to end. I have no idea why more people don't know about it. It's for the amount of money. Let me see if I can find the budget. They could not have spent much money on this fucking movie, man. And it came out pretty fucking awesome. They got box office. Where is it? Stand by.
Stand by.
Oh, this movie's special. You can only get box office information with IMDb Pro. Eat my grundle.
Oh man, what the heck?
Fuck you, Bezos. You
Is
heard
this
me.
Night of the Werewolf.
No, late phases.
Late
or
phases.
Night of the Wolf.
Night of the Wolf. Okay. All right, yeah, man. That sounds like a winner.
That's a really good one for Halloween.
Yeah.
The Halloween season. It's an excellent vibe movie for that,
What a twist.
Yeah.
What is that from? That's from something. Oh yeah. You ever watch Robot Chicken?
No.
You know what it is, though, right?
Yeah, I know what it is. I
Yeah,
don't truck with that.
there was I didn't really watch it regularly, but I saw one or two episodes, and one of them they happened to just spoof a bunch of M. Night Shyamalan movies, they would just
okay.
they just spoofed a bunch of his setups, and then you know how they have the action figures and they voice it over, and then something crazy would happen, and then M. Night Shyamalan at the end of each thing would just pop into frame and just go, "What a twist!"
Really? That's what that's from?
Yeah, yeah. He just at the
Sounds like a
it
Family
happened,
Guy.
well, yeah, it's
thing.
written by a lot of the same. It's Seth Green makes that show. Yeah, and it just happened 9 times through the whole episode. This little M. Night Shyamalan character would pop in and go, "What a twist!"
Speaking of werewolf movies, have you ever seen one called Bad Moon from the mid-'90s?
No.
With Mariel Hemingway and Michael Pare. Do you know of the Michael Pare? He was Eddie and
Sounds
Eddie and the
familiar.
Cruisers.
Oh, Yeah. Okay. No, I have not seen that movie.
Interesting thing about that, it's not great. It's not great. It's a very mediocre werewolf movie. It was great as a rental when you were like 15, but the funny thing is it's based on a book called Thor, and the entire book is told from the dog's perspective, the family German Shepherd. It's the weirdest thing. I actually just read it out of pure curiosity, and it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. There is a werewolf,
Not
and
that bad.
I mean, I could see why you'd make it into a movie, but the movie wasn't from the dog's perspective, which was confusing.
I don't think I've ever read a book experienced by a dog.
And there was a British movie too called Howl from 2015 that was really neat. It was.
You are quite the werewolf aficionado.
I love werewolf movies. I'm always on, like, there's so many bad ones. I'm fascinated by why so many are so shitty, and why even the good ones are usually kind of shitty.
Oh yeah, we covered this in depth, man.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just shocked that you're still coming out with them. That didn't come up the first time.
I know, it's weird. I have a lot of movies. I forget things. I'm old. I'm not well. I'm not well mentally.
You need to get bit by a wolf, man. It might solve your problems.
I would like you to bite me.
I would like. That's right. That was Wolf, right?
Yeah.
I would like you to bite me.
Jack's face in that scene is fantastic. Fucking Dog Soldiers, man. I just saw an ad.
Dog Soldiers.
I gotta watch that. I haven't seen that in a long time. That's gonna be on the Halloween list this year.
We watched the shit out of that movie. We watched it constantly.
Way too many times. Way too many times. Remember, we had like actual theories and arguments.
No reason.
Yeah, we were like talking our way around holes in the plot, just to make ourselves feel better about it. It was a great movie, though. It's a lot of fun. Kevin McKidd.
It is a lot of fun.
It's the first thing I ever saw him in. He's an awesome actor. I've liked him in a lot of shit. Had a lot of good British character actors in it too.
Yeah, a lot of accents.
You know what werewolf movie is super overrated? Fucking The Howling.
Yeah. Yeah,
I hate it. I'm going to say it. I fucking hate that movie. The setup is great, and then after that, it's just a fucking shit fest. I don't know why it gets so much respect. Remember Ginger Snaps?
It's gory. Yeah, I remember Ginger Snaps. You made me watch that.
I made you watch.
I watched that at your house. Yeah. And then
it was one of my high school favorites.
They're trying to like cure the werewolf thing that's going on, and like luckily he knows how to like cook heroin, so he's able to, just prepare a dose of werewolf medicine.
It was just wolfsbane extract, man. It was totally legit. I don't know what your problem is. They made 3 of those movies. You realize that?
I don't got no problem, man. I don't have a problem. I enjoyed that movie. It was fun.
Did you ever see any of the other ones?
No. God, no.
The second one's like a direct sequel. It's actually kind of creepy.
Doesn't one of them take place in the past?
Yeah. The third one takes place in a like a fucking Pilgrim era fort in the colonies. Which it has its moments. It has its fucking moments. I'm not gonna lie, it's not that bad. It's neat in the. This is gonna sound a little goofy, but
oh boy,
the reality of how isolated those communities were in real life. Those early settlers who literally built fucking wooden fort walls around their little tiny town and just lived in the fucking forest in New England or whatever, in the middle of nothing, surrounded by people who didn't know what the fuck they were and probably wanted to kill them. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's
a rough life.
With no, in the age of darkness, all the light at night was fire, and it was fucking primitive shit, man. And just that element of it, throw it on top of the werewolf shit, it just, I don't know, the atmosphere is upsetting. The movie could have been a lot better. It's overwritten, it's overacted in some spots, and there's some needless shit in there. If they would have just kept it clean, it could have been really, really neat. And something I've never seen before. I've never seen a wilderness fort surrounded by werewolves like that before in a movie. That could have been really cool, but
That's
it's
that's a neat setup.
It's almost just like the isolation in The Witch is so haunting.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a good movie. Well, yeah. What? You all right?
you glitched out on me. I didn't get any of that.
I didn't say anything.
Oh,
I just said. I just heard you go fuck,
you're fuck.
and then
You're
I
a
stopped talking.
fuck.
Anyhow,
Okay.
yeah. That being said, 2 movies, totally similar setup, but like completely different.
Couldn't be different. Couldn't be more different
avenue.
approaches. Yeah.
Totally different acting. Totally
One's an
different,
original screenplay.
structure.
Yeah, one's an original screenplay. One's based on a novel from the 50s. One was the debut of who would be a famous director, and one was just kind of a genre flick. You know, that was more of a studio picture with a bunch of, one A-list actor and a bunch of B-listers. And it was, I guess that was really what killed it too. It was really formulaic, and I'm sure a lot of people discovered it in video stores. Eventually, it has a compelling title. The title stands out. Stir of Echoes is a cool title. I have to fucking say it. I liked it as a kid. I remember being like, oh, that's not your normal bullshit. And it was before all the fucking horror movies started having one-word titles. That era, which I think is still kind of going on.
Yeah.
Insidious was good.
On top of that, like, yeah, The Sixth Sense holds up. It's a great movie, and I think you could watch that movie 100 times. I don't think it ever feels dated, but man, Stir of Echoes feels like the late 90s.
Yeah,
it just, I don't know what it is. It just
the
feels
clothes.
like a turn of the century 90s new millennium movie.
The clothes help. The weird cover of Paint It Black helps instead of it being the original.
Oh yeah, instead of the original.
I don't know who the fuck it was, but that is a 90s sounding motherfucking cover of that song that plays during the murder. Yeah, I mean, it just is. Yeah, it was a genre flick. They weren't trying to. Sixth Sense is a tone. It's like we've been talking about when we talked about The Crow, and we've talked about a couple other movies. The world is created, and it stands alone. You don't have to. It makes the whole story more believable. Whereas Stir of Echoes was just kind of being. This is a snapshot of today, and then we're going to insert this stuff, which is kind of cool. But like you said, after a little while, it gets dated. Like Flatliners, man. Like that one. That one feels dated to me sometimes when I go back and watch it. Although I do love that movie. That's a fun. That was an excellent, creepy fucking movie. Even though the science is complete nonsense, but fuck it, who cares? Why and how would the studios allow these 2 movies to come out so close together? Do you think it was that nobody expected the Shyamalan movie because no one knew who the fuck he was to blow up the way it did?
Yeah, I think that's got something to do with it. I don't think anybody saw that coming, and I don't know. It doesn't feel like we talked about Wyatt Earp and Tombstone, and they knew of each other's projects, and it was a flat out race to get one out sooner. But this doesn't feel like that. They're different enough in tone that I think they kind of just came up independently of each other, and maybe they knew about each other's movie. Maybe they didn't, but
Well,
it doesn't feel like a competition.
a lot of the Sixth Senses success, oh, Jesus, had to do with keeping the plot fairly under wraps. So, I mean, I would imagine people in the industry knew, but I guess not that many. If they did, it would have gotten out, and it would have kind of ruined the movie. So, yeah, maybe that was just it. Maybe the plot was so under wraps, and it was this new director, and it was just it had a big star. It was a bigger movie from the beginning, just because Bruce Willis was in it over Kevin Bacon, I think, at the time,
Right.
for sure. So, yeah, they were just at different levels. It's weird though, looking back. And from, like you said, from if you watched them back to back and didn't know when they came out, you wouldn't really know they came out in the same year.
No, that's like I only looked it up because of how similar the plot points were, and I was shocked. And yeah, like one doesn't really feel like any particular era, and one does. One's like, yeah, this is late '90s. It has a real definitive flavor to it. But yeah, I mean, I liked them both. But you look at Sixth Sense and like number one, the twist, and just that line when Haley Joel Osment's just like, I see dead people. And then he goes, how often? And he goes, all the time. I mean, that
became a trope. It was so good.
So copied and spoofed, and oh god, everybody ripped it off
endlessly.
But on the other side, that little kid, I can't remember the kid's name in the movie. In Stir of Echoes, just right in the beginning, right up front, I remember the marketing for that movie where they show him just talking to no one, going, "Does it hurt to be dead?" And I was like,
"Oh yeah,
that's creepy."
That line from the top of the stairs when he goes, "Daddy, you're awake now." Like, whoa.
Yeah, don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, his name was Zachary David Cope. It doesn't look like he did anything else other than that. That was his only. He was in The Wedding Singer. He had an uncredited part in The Wedding Singer the year before, so that was it. He must have been the baby in one of the scenes.
Too? They both movies end where you're looking at the kids, and like Haley Joel Osment is able to come to terms with his gift, and he knows what his purpose is. He doesn't feel like a freak anymore, and there's like this. His story wraps up nicely, and he still sees him, but he knows that he's supposed to help him. Then you get that poor kid from Stir of Echoes, like Kevin Bacon.
Jake.
Jake. He
was
moves.
his name.
Yeah, Jake. That's right. He moves with his wife. They get out of town. That's all fine. And then the last scene is him just hearing the whispers intensifying.
In the car, right? As they're driving car, yeah.
He just hears, and then he starts to cover his ears to block it out. Like, what the hell? That kid, after all that, the kid, no, man. It's as soon as I saw the end, I was like, that boy's going to need therapy. Better call Bruce Willis.
I like the idea too that the father had it in him, but it was latent, and then it was out there in his son from the beginning. Like, he didn't have to be hypnotized or nothing. I just thought that was a neat little touch, made it a little more unexpected, a little less formulaic, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think a lot of movies bit off both of these movies going down. I mean, the you can see your breath when ghosts are around thing from Sixth Sense. That was actually that was in Stir of Echoes too.
The cold, it just gets real cold.
And that's a thing. Like, that's a paranormal thing that's been around for years. So
they measure temperature fluctuations.
What's that?
They measure like temperature fluctuations.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
All right, so I mean, I guess, can we say one is better than the other?
Oh, for sure. Sixth Sense is a better movie, hands down. Now, I mean, not to knock Stir of Echoes. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. I liked it. I thought it was a cool movie, but I could totally, like you made the point earlier, maybe it would have done better and been more memorable if it had come out at any other point in history except for on the heels of the biggest twist ever in a movie that's about the same thing.